It's your boy John Mike.
What up with you guys? You know who it is. It's your boy John Mike, and I'm back again. I am so excited to see you guys after a few weeks. I've been working hard on quite a few other projects. Some of you guys have seen some of the stuff come up on the channel that pay attention to that kind of stuff. But I have been working on several, different little side projects and keeping busy during this whole thing that's going on in the world right now. So I pray that you guys have been faring well, that your family has been doing well. And if you're watching this after all of this stuff is lifted, I pray that you made it through it all well. So I'm back again today, back to business as usual, and I'm ready to flip this Studiologic SL88 into the what we're going to call the JM-8. So for those of you who don't know what the JM-8 or the JM-88 or this whole thing that I'm doing is, about 3 or 4 years ago, I flipped a Yamaha KX8 and I turned it into the JM-8. I still have it here in my studio. I use it for my productions. I use it for all that stuff. Still a great keyboard, great MIDI controller, but one of the drawbacks to it is USB drivers and stuff don't support for Mac, so I have to use the built-in MIDI ports, and it's just a little bit of a hassle when I have to use it and plug it up and stuff like that. So I would prefer to have something that's a little bit more up-to-date, a little bit more modern, and a little bit better of an aesthetic. So I fell in love with this SL88 by Studiologic. It was between this and my M-Audio Hammer 88 about which one I was going to actually flip into the new JM-8, my main kind of custom keyboard. And so I chose to do this particular board. So I'm really excited about it. I love the way it feels. You can check my review on it that I did a few weeks ago. You can check that and watch that and see all of my initial kind of thoughts of this particular board. But now we're ready to take it to the next level and make it into something custom totally towards me. So I'm going to be painting this keyboard today. We're going to be painting it, and we're going to do it in this red color. This is just a regular can of red spray paint from Walmart. Pay like $4 or $5 for it. Nothing spectacular. Rust-Oleum. This is a primer plus a paint, so I don't have to prime it. In my last thing, I had to prime it first and then I painted it. This is supposed to do both of those in one, so we're going to see how it works. I'm either going to screw this up, roll it, and you guys are going to see how the screw up process happened, or this is going to turn into something really, really dope. So I'm really, really excited to see what's going to happen. So this is just another red. It's not like Nord red. It's a little bit darker, and this is actually not my Nord. This is a friend of mine's. I borrowed it for a project. He's going to be getting it back soon. So this is not my Nord. This is just something I'm using for a project. This Roland as well. Neither one of these are my keyboards. I'm a MIDI controller guy, you know me, but I had to get it for a project that I was working on. So, we're going to flip this and paint it red. And then we're going to do some things with the text and stuff that I'm going to show you a little later. My wife is actually going to be helping me with that because we're going to be doing some vinyl lettering for that or what have you to put that on there, and then like putting some of the decals and things back in place. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to grab a screwdriver probably my drill, because that's all you really need to pop out all of these screws. And we're going to disconnect this part of the keyboard, the chassis of the keyboard from the key bed. We're going to take the key bed completely out. We're going to see what that looks like. And then we're just going to paint the chassis red. So let's jump into it. Okay, so I got it taken apart. So it seems the chassis is in 3 different parts. One being this part that's actually still attached to the key bed through some other screws. And it's difficult to see up in there the way I can see it, but there's actually some other screws connecting the key bed to this part of the chassis, the top part. There's also wires you have to be careful for. So like here, this is a connector that is connecting the key bed to the main board. So we definitely want to disconnect that before lifting the key bed out. just so we don't tear these little ribbon, connector parts right here. This is like paper almost, like, so they have those in there. So you have to be really careful about tearing those. So it looks like what I'm going to have to do is flip the keyboard upside down and take the bottom part off first. And then I can see better how to disconnect the other screws off in there that connect to the key bed, so I can be able to disconnect it completely. So let's see what happens. Hopefully, prayerfully, I don't tear this thing up. All right, so I'm going to try to lift this up here really carefully, because there's still cables connected here from the back of the board. I disconnected the other main cables here, so now I'm just trying to see what else is connected. And in actuality, and it may be hard to see, but there's just some tape that's connecting, it looks like. There's no other thing, so I'm gonna have to disconnect this tape here really carefully. This 3M tape, just to make sure that we don't, this is because we want to just be able to get some other tape here. So we'll take the tape off, if I can get that off of there. You have to be really careful with these, because you could legit mess the whole keyboard up, where it's just not functional. The key bed won't work. I used to fix keyboards, so that's the only reason I know about a lot of these things. I fixed a ton of these. So that's that piece disconnected. You can see that, that's the bottom piece. So we'll have to do that. All right, so down here on the motherboard, there's this cable. It's a little red cable that you gotta disconnect. Right there, you can see it. I'm gonna wiggle it right here. Make sure you disconnect this from the board. Very important, so you don't rip anything up. Everything else is really not connected to the board from what I can see. So there are 6 other screws that need to be disconnected. 2 are right here. 1, it's hard to see 2 because this cable is covering it, which I'm gonna move that out of the way in just a second by disconnecting this screw right here. There's another 2 screws right there, as you can see. And then there's another 2 screws down here. So once we get those 6 screws out, we'll be good to go to pull the key bed out. All right, so got those screws out, and we're going to gently, lift this out, the tape off of there, and make sure that there's another wire connected here. Disconnect all the wires from the board. And boom, we got it disconnected. And so there is the piece that we're going to paint. So because we're painting, we definitely want to try to see if we can get these motherboards out of here as well, so we don't damage that. So I'm going to look at that next. All right, so we got the key bed off, and now we're going to take these, the motherboard and this other little board off, so we don't mess those up, by potentially getting paint on them. I'd be rather better safe than sorry, especially since I'm going to be painting the back, and you got all of this MIDI and all of that USB port exposed. So we definitely want to get this out so that we don't. So there's just, a bunch of little screws here, several screws. And so we're just going to take all of those out. All right, so I was able to get the front face unit out. And you have to be careful with it. It's kind of hard for me to show, but this part kind of pops off. But the issue is there is a ribbon like right there. And if you pull it out, you can tear that ribbon, not rhythm, which will cause the whole unit to, face unit to stop working, I'm pretty sure, because that's how the display shows power. The issue that I have with this that I'm not going to be able to fix, which I was hoping I was going to be able to, is I'm not going to be able to get rid of this Studiologic thing without being destructive on purpose with this thing. Because even though this part comes off, the face, this is all one kind of molded unit, and this is like the Studiologic part is like under the glass, not the glass, but this plexiglass type stuff they got. But got it out, and we're going to get this pitch bend area out, which this is a handful of more screws in there. We're going to get that out, and then we'll be ready to paint. All right, so we've got it all broke down, all of the electronics out of this part, key bed out. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting this completely. This whole part will get painted completely. And even, I'm going to paint over all of the text because this is actually painted on. But we're going to paint over even these little, words on here, the out, media in and out. But what we're going to do, I have a solution for that I'm going to show you guys later, because I'm not going to be painting the letters back on. But on this part, what we're going to actually do is just paint this part, this front, and this edge, probably right there, is really all that's going to get painted on that. Yeah, just this whole back. So that's the back, and then this is the front part. So we're going to paint the side and the under, like this first part right here, not this main area. We'll leave that black. So I'll probably put some tape, over to block that, or whatever the case may be. So that's pretty much it. So let's get on to the next phase, and that is actually going to be throwing some paint on there, seeing what it looks like. We got the plastic laid down, or whatever the case may be. And I have put a little bit of tape down on this part right here. So this is on the very bottom. Of course, I'm not going to paint the very bottom red. We'll leave that black, of course. But what I did is put a little tape to kind of separate the edge, so I don't get any paint, so I get some nice clean edges on it. As you can see right there, I did the same thing on this side. This part right here is going to get painted completely. This is going to be the most painted part, so I don't have any tape on it. I'm going to put some tape actually on this felt right here. I'm going to fold it back because there's some little like felt right there. I don't want to paint that, so I will cover that up with some tape really quick. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Let's get to the painting part of it. Let's have some fun. All right, so ready to start painting. Get your mask and stuff on, all that good stuff like that. You probably already got one because of COVID-19. So we're gonna go ahead and put this first coat on. Let's go. So that's part one. I have got the first coat on or what have you. So that's pretty much it for today. We're gonna let this dry. It's gonna take at least a day. I like to let it dry for at least a day, day and a half before I go and mess with it and do anything with it or whatever. So I'm gonna let it dry up a little bit, and then I'll pick it back up with part two. We'll see how that first coat went and see what we can do to kind of make it better, or add another, if we need to add another coat, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to add another coat, but I wanna let it dry at least for about a day before I add the second coat. So that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button, especially, and turn on notifications, especially if you want to follow this whole process. I'll talk to you guys on the next video. I'm out. Holla at your boy.